Again to Let's Talk Science with Pastor Dan. We're going to continue our shorts. And what I'm going to focus on today is something that I've taught in almost all my classes when I start, and that's something called the scientific method. Now, the definition of the scientific method has always been a systematic approach to solving problems. When we come to it, there are several points that we have to examine. The first step is to identify a problem. So we have a problem that we look at. Again, that makes sense because science is about solving problems. We make observations, we form a hypothesis, which is an educated guess. Now, this is where I think science has gotten itself in trouble, okay? We have to test it. And when we test it, we have to have a control group. In other words, that which we're studying, which is called the variable, is removed, a placebo effect, things along those lines. We have to have a large sample group. We have to have diverse sampling. We have to get random sampling. So therefore, we should not know what the results are before we start. When we do those things, we're going to get results. Now, are results good or bad? They're neither. They just are. Okay? It's when we evaluate that results that we can go from there. And then from there, we'll keep going the process till we totally understand what's going on. I said, there is a major problem with science right now. We usually can trust science. I teach science. Let's talk science with Pastor Dan. But in recent science, there is a problem. What is that problem? It's something called a bias. Okay, now there are two types of bias. A bias is defined as a preconceived idea that affects the outcome of research. There are two kinds of biases that exist. There are what are called blind biases, that people just are so focused on what they think that they're not able to see that the research is flawed. There was a recent study done on the nature of family. And they proved that it doesn't matter who the parents were, as long as you have a loving couple, it doesn't matter. Well, the people that showed up, that signed up for that study, chose to be part of it. And they picked the families they wanted to. So literally, I like to believe that was a blind, unconscious bias. They had people that already agreed with their opinion before they started. Another example I always give in class is, I think it was called Peking Man. They went into a cave. They were looking for missing link. They found a chimpanzee bone, and they saw a human leg, and they put it together, and they made this creature. Years later, they realized it was just different ape bones and human bones in the same cave, and they put it together. They didn't do it intentionally, but they were so focused on what they thought was true that they ended up being wrong. Now, there is also what's called a conscious bias. People that literally produce science studies that are flawed, and they know they're flawed. So you have to look at the study before you just believe it. Because a scientist says this is the way it is, you got to be careful. We did the whole COVID thing. Do you know the 6 feet? Do you know what the scientific fact for the 6 feet was? They asked somebody, how far do you think it can do? 6 feet. There was no scientific basis for that at all. And that's a problem. So do we trust science? Yes, we do. But we have to make sure we understand the researchers, because people are flawed. People can be biased. And then what study was doing. I always tell my kids, 1,000 is the minimum sample size. I remember doing research one time, and we did 6 samples. 6! That was it. And we were calling that the standard of accepted effect. That's not right. So when it comes to trusting science, trusting God's word, I'm going to go with God's word. He's got a better track record. All right? I want to explain that. you do want to look at science, but make sure you look at the research that was done. See the study. Is it big enough? Is it random? In other words, do they take people from without having known what the answer is going to be? Is it diverse from different cultural, economic backgrounds? So we're not getting a preconceived notion of what should happen. Hopefully it's not too bad. Take care. God bless.